these schools and many parents who are looking for school choice or looking for homeschooling are really worried about the emotional stress that this age inappropriate, American inappropriate, family inappropriate curriculum is doing to our kids. We know that mental health issues are on the rise in our kids. And as you're about to hear from my next guest, we believe that it's being caused by the schools in large part. So let me just go back and see if the premise is set. So we are hearing about mental health bills for children. We're hearing a lot. We're hearing almost every major figure, political figure, advocate on the left talking now about mental health of children, how it's deteriorating. This was all part of the plan, right? What they're not telling you is that it was our own policies, these SEL, this CRT, this CSE, the transgender, the 1619, all of this deprogramming is also destabilizing the emotional health of our young students. And now they want to come in as the hero, supposedly on the white horse, with more of the same to try to fix the problem that they themselves created. Do I have this right?
You're right on target. We have created the mental health issues in our schools. We have a psychologist on our board that just came on because he said he could not be quiet any longer. He spoke for the first time with us, and he explained that as your child leaves their home feeling safe, secure, and loved, they enter these schools and they're on an unlevel playing field. And all day long, they're given information that they cannot comprehend, they cannot process, is against their family values. They don't know what to do with it. So they are in a heightened state of anxiety every day.
You say, quote, emotional stress is not a side product of this ideology. It's the main product.
Yes.
Wow. And then B, persuading children to whimper in defeat and despair is exactly the cultural message that is foremost on the educational agenda. That's what you were just saying.
Yeah, well, I said it better in print than I am aloud, but yeah, I think those are the ideas. I think there's a lot of teachers who are complicit in this without quite realizing it. They think they're doing a good thing, but really they're playing.
Well, they've been brainwashed too.
They've been brainwashed too. It's hard, I think, to get out of a school of education these days without having been clobbered with a whole lot of this stuff about the need for revolutionary transformation of American society. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting to those kids early and convincing them that what their parents have put before them is wrong and has to be replaced.
What is social and emotional learning, and why is it dangerous to our kids?
Social emotional learning is dangerous to our children because what it is doing is it is rewiring their brains. It basically is psychological warfare on our children. It was started in 1994 by a gentleman, and actually his mentor, the main group is CASEL. CASEL stands for Collaborative to Advance Social and Emotional Learning. So it was started in 1994. Actually, one of the co-founders was a Rockefeller granddaughter, which tells us a lot. But his mentor was Fetzer, and from the Fetzer Institute, which is an NGO. And Fetzer's mentor was Alice Bailey. If you're familiar with Alice Bailey, you know that she started the Luciferian Publishing Company. So SEL is basically about killing the spirit. And I believe we're seeing that in our children. So they are using this in our schools. It's actually woven through every subject throughout the day. And they're using it to change their beliefs, their behaviors, and their attitudes, and basically controlling their thoughts and their relationships.
Well, I wrote the book because it became obvious to me that the psychological factors that are going on in society and politics with people in everyday life were being ignored. but they're crucial, in my opinion, as to what's going on out there. And so, you know, psychologists don't practice I've never done this as a professional, in any everyday life, what everyday life issues. I've never once had a patient come to me and say, you know, I'm concerned about how I interact with people in the political world. No one would ever go to see a psychologist for that reason.
They would do it about how they interact with their family, though. But it's interesting. You're right. You know, when anyone says, "Hey, you know, I'm having all kinds of trouble getting along with my school committee or my elected rep," or hey, that's an interesting way to frame it.
Well, we know that boys and girls, or at least we used to know that boys and girls follow different patterns of maturation, and girls are much more sensitive earlier on to the patterning that their adults around them put on them. So is it any surprise that this extraordinary percentage of young girls come into our schools and begin to take personally the idea that there's something wrong about them? Now, of course, fixing what's wrong can take all sorts of weird shapes, like trying to convince them that they're really boys, or the world of being a young girl today takes the form of, on one hand, being told you're powerful, you can be anything, you're on top of the world. But right beside that comes the claim that if you don't feel that way, there must be something really wrong with you.
Yeah.
And they may have some inner feelings or thoughts about skepticism, cynicism, distrust, suspicion, and they think that everything is corrupt, and it's not. Many things are corrupt, but not everything. For example, I don't know how many people would think that baseball is crooked, but after the Houston Astros World Series win of a few years ago, I'm sure many people did think it was crooked.
And the 1918 Black Sox scandal, yeah.
Yeah, sure. It goes way back then. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And then people might think, well, all of the sports is crooked.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
just
that's not true.
yeah, I
yeah.
get you. It's like, kind of like a domino effect. If I believe that, then I'm going to believe all these other things too, right?
Exactly. Without
Wow.
any evidence, without evidence.
Right.
From a psychological point of view, and also as the point of view of a Christian, I believe that all humans fundamentally are made in the image and likeness of God. And they all, and because of that, everybody needs to be treated with respect, and as far as we can, with patience and with love. But when I see things like CRT, which I think is most carefully embodied in what they call the 1619 Project,
Yep.
I think what that does is it teaches people the exact opposite. It teaches people that this group really wants to oppress this group, or this group wants to oppress this group. And you end up then with the seeds of distrust of others. That
Seeds of distrust, seeds of division. You said, wow, that's great. So
absolutely. And that's
look, I would put forth that none of this DEI, SEL, the pleasure-based sex, biological sex maybe, but pleasure-based sex, racist, you know, either whatever racist theories they want to put, none of that belongs in schools. To me, that's all the domain of families and parents and